Hello everyone, this is Lord Kearney and I am here with the first report of the Bragging Rights tournament that took place about 2 weeks ago up in Connecticut. This was a team tournament, 4 players per team. On my team I had a Wood Elf player, a Lizardman player, a Tomb King player, and me with my Daemons. So if any of you haven't done a team tournament before, basically each team gets to pick 2 matchups, essentially. This is extreme simplification. But you get to pick 2 matchups, and generally speaking, it's rare to get a good matchup, but it's also rare to get a bad matchup. Most matchups are kind of in the middle, and then it comes down to basically player skill to determine the outcome, which makes it fun and makes it really competitive. You're always put into tough games, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, if you have any opportunity to go to a team tournament, I cannot recommend it more. I think it's far more fun than a individual tournament. So anyway, here's my list if you haven't seen it before. And here's my opponent's list. He had a big boss with the Armor of Destiny. He had Wurzag. He had a level 1 Shaman. He had a level 2 Night Goblin Shaman with a scroll. He had a Black Orc ESB. He also had 2 Goblin big bosses on Wolves. Both of them had like 2-up saves. One of them had Luckstone. One of them had Dawnstone. They're pretty well protected, pretty well set up, and basically they are there to be a combination of chaff hunters, and war machine hunters. He then had a big unit of 33 Savage Big Guns with bows and full command. He had 2 units of 20 Night Goblins with full command and Fanatics, 2 of them each. He had a Wolf Chariot, 10 Trolls, 2 Chukkas, 2 Labas, 2 Doom Divers. So looking at this list, he has a lot of war machines. That's the first thing I noticed. Fortunately, we're using ETC boards, which ETC boards have a lot of space for you to hide, which is nice. My plan is to basically hide my Bloodthirster, try to deal with his war machines as quickly as possible. My number 1 priority are the Doom Diver, are the Rock Lavas. The Doom Divers, they're much more accurate. Even if I'm hiding, there's a good chance they hit my Bloodthirster, but they're only strength 5, so they need 5s to wound, which isn't that likely. My Bloodthirster should be able to eat a lot of them. If I can deal with his Rock Lavas, and to the point where I can keep taking my Bloodthirster out from behind cover, he's going to be pretty essential in dealing with the rest of his army. If my Thirster's allowed to get to combat without dying to spells or war machines, then he'll be in a really good position to basically be able to wrap up the rest of the army. I'm especially relying on his breath weapon. That's the only really flaming I have in my army. And so, being that he is I-10, he will go before anything else in my army. So he can breathe fire on the trolls, remove their regen, and then anything that goes into combat with him can then attack without having to worry about regen. So that's kind of the idea of what I'm dealing with. I need to get rid of the war machines as quickly as possible so my Bloodthirster can come out to play. And if he comes out to play, yeah, the trolls are going down, essentially. So deployment left to right. You see his first Rock Lava. A little bit over, he has his Doom Diver. He has a unit of 20 Night Goblins next to that. He has his 10 Trolls. Behind that is another Doom Diver. I believe he also has a Rock Lava back there as well behind the Trolls. Next to them he has his Savages with all of his Orc characters. He then has his Chariot, one of his characters, and his other unit of 20 Goblins, and then Bolt Thrower. The other Bolt Thrower is behind that hill, up at the edge of this deployment zone. So lined up across from him, I have my Thirster with a unit of Horrors behind them. Then I have a unit of Furies next to that. Behind them I have my unit of 5 Drones. Next to them I have my unit of Blight Kings, who are in a line 9 wide. This is to largely decrease the efficacy of foot. Behind them I have 3 units of Horrors. Next to them I have another unit of Furies, and behind them I have my unit of 4 Drones. My 3rd unit of Furies is out here on the far flank. Their goal is entirely to hunt war machines, get rid of that Doom Diver as quickly as possible, and then maybe start clearing the back line. His one War Boss, Goblin War Boss, which you can see next to the house, is there to kind of hunt that, so I need to avoid him and try to get into his back line. My spells, so as a caveat, whenever you pack an army for a tournament, make sure you have your entire army. I apparently left the entire foam tray that had all of my horrors at home. So as a result, all I had left with me was my unit fillers, and I was fortunately able to borrow some cavalry bases from another player at this event to fill out the rest of my bases. Thank you to him for letting me do that. It's a shame that I was missing a large part of my army, but what can you do? Fortunately, I was able to work around it. So the spells I got, the guys up front has Bolt of Change. The big fiery portal thing is Gateway. The thing with the blue flame is Blue Fire, weirdly enough. And this guy here is Treason. So Treason's behind the hill, has a long range, doesn't need line of sight or anything. The other ones are all direct damage or magic missiles, so they are more in view to try to get into cover, try to get into range and start casting spells on his war machines and characters. So that's the whole idea. Orcs and Goblins won the first turn, and he didn't move. The only thing that moved is his war boss on the left moved up a little bit towards my Furies, but he didn't really move that much, just kind of enough to put pressure on me to force me to move carefully around to get to his Doom Diver. Magic phase was largely uneventful. I was able to stop foot, and he really didn't have anything else that mattered. So we go to shooting phase. First shot with this stone thrower, with this rock lava. He puts it on the corner of my Bloodthirster. He scatters 2 inches, direct hit. So because of indirect fire, he moves back 3, which means he moves back directly to direct hit. I fail my ward save, he does 3 wounds. So at least my Thirster's not dead, but he is already suffering from an indirect fire stone thrower. So what can you do? So we go to my turn. I move up a little bit. My Furies move up pretty aggressively, especially my horrors on my far left. They move up to within charge range of his rock lava. The other Furies move behind that hill where they can see to charge the Doom Diver, but the Bolt Thrower can't see them. The other one moved behind the hill. Other than that, all my horrors move up aside from Treason, and all my flies move up as well. I start getting into position to put pressure. Magic phase, I'm able to get Treason off on this unit of trolls, which is nice. They are hopefully going to fail their stupidity test. I think I IF'd it and I lost a couple horrors as a result. But that's fine, you know, if they're going to start stumbling forward away from his BSB, that's only going to help me. If I can get him out of BSB range and out of General's range from failed stupidity test because of Treason, that's going to make it really easy for me to break that unit. I also cast Bolt of Change on this Bolt Thrower. He wasn't able to stop it. He focused all of his dice to stop Gateway. So Bolt of Change went off. It was able to do a wound, but it only did 2 wounds, not 3. So the Bolt Thrower is still there, still alive, and essentially, for all intents and purposes, fully functional. So we go to Orcs and Goblins turn 2. Once again, he really didn't move. His trolls failed stupidity. I don't have a picture of that. They stumbled forward a couple inches, but that was about it. So we go to shooting phase, and he did it. Doom Diver lands another hit on my Bloodthirster. He does 6 wounds. He needs 5+ to wound, but he rolled 3 of them. So he has 3 wounds to my Thirster. I fail all 3 saves, actually. My Thirster goes down, taking his 5th wound, so that sucks. Yep, there it is, that crappy Doom Diver, claiming my Thirster in turn 2. So at this point, I'm down big. I went around to my teammates at this point and told them, okay, I'm down big. I'm going to try to salvage what I can. You guys need to push. So at this point, I'm in salvage mode. I'm going to try to get as close to a draw as I can, but it's very unlikely for me to win the game at this point with that many points going down. Because he's 600 points of a character, plus he's a general bonus. That's a whole lot of points to throw away in turn 2. So, Demons turn 2. My Furies are able to make the charge into this rock lava. And otherwise, this happens. So, alright, so I move up with everything again. My Blight Kings are kind of there behind the hill. My Furies move up to trigger the Fanatics from the Night Goblins on that side. One of them goes through them. It only does 2 wounds, which is great. I still have some Furies left to threaten his War Machine, so he has to deal with me now. The other Fanatic from that unit on the left, he sends towards my flies. He doesn't go far enough to hit them, and the flies move up cautiously as a result. Otherwise, my mages kind of move up to get into range to hopefully cast Gateway on some of his war machines, and Bolt to also go on the war machines. Yeah, this is just showing the Furies charging. Yeah, the Furies that were behind the hill charged. The Doom Diver, he sent out his Fanatics when I got into range. I landed on them, and my Furies on this side died, but they were able to kill one of the Fanatics, so that was nice. The other Fanatic is kind of there, sitting next to the building. So go to Magic Phase, and I'm able to get Bolt of Change off on his hero, his Goblin Big Boss, and I'm able to kill him, which was nice. And then here in combat, these Furies deal really easily with the Bolt Thrower and are able to overrun to get towards his Doom Diver. Let's go to Orcs and Goblins turn 3. He charges his Chariot into my Furies, which is fine. His Trolls pass Stupidity this time, which is nice, and they just kind of back up a little bit to get back into range. And otherwise, he moves his Goblin Big Boss on a Wolf on the left side to the rear of my Fury, so that if I charge his Doom Diver on this side, he will have a very easy charge into me his next turn, which is fair enough. So we go to Demons turn 3, and I take that charge. I really can't pass it up. I need to get rid of his War Machines quickly. There's a lot of points in there, and they're really easy points to get once you get them into combat. So I'm probably going to lose these Furies next turn, but I mean, I'm doing as best I can. Just trying to get some points. And I'll happily trade the 70 points that that's worth for the 100 plus points that the Doom Diver's worth. Otherwise, things kind of move up pretty conservatively. My Blight Kings charged the Chariot, and it fled, so it's moving back towards his lines. The Blight Kings didn't quite get on the hill. They stopped about half an inch in front of the hill. Magic Phase, I'm able to get Treason off on this unit, which was huge. I aligned my Furies so that they are clipping the War Machine, so that if he fails his Panic Test with this Night Goblin unit, his Night Goblins and the Shaman are running straight off the board, which is pretty big. So Treason was big to get off here with the way I lined up my Furies. So yeah, that was great. Unfortunately, it was Irresistible Force, and I rolled something like 12 hits on my Furies, or on my Horrors for the miscast, and the entire unit went down. So it's unfortunate, and this basically put the death nail into it. I'm not going to be able to get his Trolls anymore, because without Treason, they're going to be leadership high, rerollable. Even if I win combat, I'm not going to have ranks, because most of my powerful units are skirmishers. So I'm basically not going to get his Trolls at this point. It's impossible for me to salvage a win, but I'm going to see how close I can get it. Magic Phase, I'm able to get Bolt of Change off on his Chariot, and I'm able to kill it, which is nice. And then in combat, yeah, my Furies deal with the Doom Diver. They decide to restrain, and he fails his Panic Test on his Treason unit of Night Goblins. They flee off the board and take the level 2 Night Goblin Shaman with him, which is why it was critical. The way I aligned my Furies was pretty critical to that. If I had lined them straight ahead, they would have ran towards his line. They would have stayed on the board. So like this, I was able to basically guarantee that they ran off the board, which is pretty big. That was a whole lot of points that I captured there. So Orcs and Goblins turn 4. He charges the rear of my Furies, which is fine. We go to Magic. He gets a foot off, and it lands on this unit of flies. He does 3 wounds to drop one of them. I think he actually did 4 wounds, and there's one dangling wound on the guy. I think the foot landed twice or something like that. And then in combat, he kills my Furies, and I wasn't able to do anything to him, which is fine. So I missed an entire turn of pictures here. Really not much happened in my turn in between. I'm just kind of dancing, trying to cast magic on his War Machines, and basically my turn 4 and his turn 5 was pretty dead all around. So I moved these, in my turn 5, I moved these guys around the hill to kind of get towards the flank of his Trolls. And these flies move up very aggressively to put them into position to charge his Doom Diver in my turn 6. Yeah, my Blight Kings moved onto the hill slightly, just so I can see his Savages. I just wanted to open up options. That's why I put them on the hill, just to kind of see what was up. The Gateway unit tried to cast a spell. He was able to dispel it. Bolt tried to cast a spell on another War Machine. He dispelled it. And so that was kind of it. in his turn 6, I didn't get pictures of this because we were kind of rushing by this point. I was a little bit distracted. He charged his trolls into my Blight Kings. I did the math. It wasn't in my favor. So I had my Blight Kings flee. In my turn, they rallied. And that was basically it. So the net result was an 11-9 loss for me. Orcs and Goblins carried the day. All things considered, though, I'm pretty happy with how this game went. Losing the Bloodthirster on turn 2, that basically made it a 15-5. So he gives up enough points to make it just shy of a 15. So I was losing 15-5 at one point of this game, and I was able to crawl back to an 11-9. I really didn't lose that much more. I was able to clear up a lot of his war machines and get points where I could. So all in all, not a terrible game for me. My opponent played well. He did the smart thing, target the Bloodthirster with the Stone Throwers, try to get rid of him early. Because he knew that if my Thirster survived to turn 3, when I had dealt with most of his war machines, that it was basically going to be a lost cause for him, and I would have won this big. So kudos to my opponent for making the smart decision and getting a little bit lucky to take out my Thirster with an indirect fire Stone Thrower. But all things considered, with that happening, I was pretty happy to crawl it back to an 11-9. So anyway, that's this report. I hope you enjoyed it. Comments, questions, please post it below, and I will get back to you with the next report soon. Anyway, have a good one, guys.